When I was 23, I broke up with my boyfriend and decided to leave my hometown to move to Houston and start fresh. It was about 3 a.m. when I was driving through a small town in Texas on my way to Houston, and I decided to stop for gas. The station was nearly empty, but it was still open. While I was filling up my car and looking at my phone, I noticed a truck pull up to the pump on the other side. I didn't think much of it until I put my phone in my pocket and reached to put the nozzle back, at which point I saw a man staring at me. I smiled at him and turned to put the gas cap back on, but then I noticed two more men standing on either side of him. It struck me as odd, but I just wanted to get into my car and leave. As I reached for the handle of my door, they attacked me. I screamed, kicked, and fought as hard as I could, but I wasn't strong enough. Two of them dragged me into the back seat of the truck, while the third pushed me in. I ended up draped over their laps, still trying to break free, but it was impossible with their weight holding me down. I started to cry. I had never felt so weak in my life. In a panic, I began scratching one of the men, thinking that if they killed me, his DNA would be under my nails. They drove to a motel and carried me inside a room. When I screamed again, the oldest one began hitting me, telling me to be quiet. One of them said if I behaved, they wouldn't hurt me. They held me down on one of the beds and tied my hands and feet with a belt and some kind of thin string, like a shoelace. I was still panicking, crying, and begging them to let me go, promising I wouldn't tell anyone. Then they started talking in another language I didn't understand. As I looked around the room, I saw bags and beer cans scattered everywhere. It smelled like they had been living in that room with two beds for a while. I don't want to go into detail about what they did to me, but at one point, one of the men said they needed more beer. They decided that the smallest one would stay in the room with me while the others went to get some. So I was left alone with the man who seemed to be around my age. I thought maybe I could beat him if I managed to get free. I asked him if I could use the bathroom, and when he untied me, I bolted for the door. I swung it open and he grabbed my arm. I yelled, "Let go of me!" And startled, he let go. Eyes wide, I ran down the street, naked, and jumped in front of the first car I saw. It was an elderly man who was confused by my actions. He rolled down the window and shouted, "What are you doing?" as if I were ruining his morning. I told him I needed help and that I had been kidnapped, and he drove me to the police station. At the station, I was given a medical gown and began filing reports. They told me I needed to go to the hospital for an examination so they could document evidence. Honestly, I just wanted a shower and to go home. I just wanted to talk to my mom. They found the men the same day. It turned out they were all brothers. They didn't say what they had planned to do with me or why they did what they did, but they claimed to have been blacked out drunk at the time. I moved across the country, and even though I know they're still in prison, I have nightmares about what happened. I don't use my phone in public anymore, and my current boyfriend says I'm too paranoid. But I have to be, right? I never want to feel that weak again in my life,